Ahoy hoy all, Druss here, and welcome back to the Darwin Reforged server. Today I'm going to be reviewing a plot that doesn't focus on architecture, it focuses on nature and organics. And this plot is by one of our moderators, Nikitiitta, or Nikki as we know him. And Nikki holds a master badge in nature, and when you look at this plot you can see why. It's a swampland, as is transparently obvious, and it's just teeming with details and life. It's really incredibly atmospheric and just a joy to visit. So let's begin. This video won't be particularly long because it's one of our smaller plots, and because there's no specific architecture to discuss, it'll be just more viewing it and appreciating the beauty of it in itself. So as we begin, you can see that Nicky has chosen his blocks very carefully. He's chosen things like overgrown podzol blocks that look like they have roots to complement the swamp scene that we're in. There's, as I mentioned, it's teeming with life. There's loads of dragonflies and fireflies and birds, fish, everything just within this, and it's been relatively untouched by man, and I really love that. So let's take a quick dive underwater. So here we are on the swamp bed as such, and as you can see from the bed itself, again there are just tiny little details that you have to explore to appreciate. The likes of the bones here, the vast amounts of thick roots that are soaking up water to bring life to the vegetation above, and the floor itself, or sorry, the bed itself, every single layer has been very specifically laid to really look just spot on and perfect. There are more details. There's vegetation, there are some rocks, and there are fish scattered hither and thither, and again just an incredible eye for detail. So that's what we expect of someone who has a mastery badge, and it is fully justified, as you can see in Nikki's case. So I will go up above the water again, and lots of ducks, both flying and swimming, floating as such as it may be. And Nikki has very carefully chosen the palette of the plot itself. It's almost burnished in its look. It's got lots of yellows and greens, and it gives an almost golden feel to the atmosphere of the plot. And again, very carefully chosen building of the likes of trees, that sort of thing. They're rather sparse and they're quite small, and again I think that that's very carefully done because of the fact that the swampland is probably fairly thin on nutrients. The trees themselves don't have the amount of food that they need to grow fully or to bigger trees, so they stay small, but it suits the plot very well. I'm using Silder's shaders, by the way, so I don't think the water looks particularly well in this specific shader, but unfortunately it's the only one that my laptop would run and still let me record in. So again, just you have to explore the plot to take in all the details. There are that many of them. It really is wonderful, and what I particularly love about the plot is that a lot of the details are semi-hidden. Now, it's not that they're meant to be hidden, it's just that the amount of life and overgrowth allows you to hide elements. So here you have the likes of a carefully laid duck nest, and the duck is beside it, and the insects she feeds off are around it. So again, it just tells a story that there's something of a circle of life, to use a phrase from The Lion King. And again, just lovely choice of vegetation, and Nicky didn't go overboard choosing a million different types of organics. He kept to a handful that he's chosen and laid very, very carefully. Some butterflies, again, just some smaller trees, and it just shows the cycle of life as well, where you have the younger trees that are just beginning their journey of life, spring towards the sunlight. You have the more mature trees, and then finally you have the trees that are now dead and they've had their time and are now just rotting and falling apart, but are used still by the wildlife that lives in the area. So just utterly fantastic, and particularly for such a small area to cram so much detail so very specifically, it can only be the work of someone who has a huge amount of experience with the mod pack, and again just shows the level of atmosphere and what you can achieve using the Conquest Reforged mod pack. It really is an absolutely beautiful plot, and I love it to bits. Nikki, you have done a fantastic job. Not that I expected anything less. So, well done. If you want to visit the plot, I shall leave details. I don't think there's a specific warp to this plot, but I shall leave details as to how to find it in the description. If you want, why not join us on the Darwin Reforged server? We're a relatively friendly community. We love to see new people, and we are more than willing, if you're new to the mod pack, to show you the ropes, let you get to know the mod pack a little yourself before you attempt, well, I suppose you can attempt something like this, but before you can achieve something like this. But you can, and anybody can. All you need to do is make that jump from vanilla, and you can just, this is a testament as to why, and you should. So again, Nikki, thank you for doing this plot. It's been wonderful for me to be able to visit it and review it. I hope I haven't, well, I've no doubt missed quite a lot, because there's just so much life on it, and so much detail. But I hope I haven't missed anything too important. I do know that in my last plot review of Coreyfuss's plot, I actually missed possibly the most important area of all. And apologies about that, Corey. It wasn't my intention. It's just, again, you had an incredibly detailed plot that was packed with absolutely huge amounts of material, so I apologise. But listen, if you want to join the Darwin Reforged community, I shall leave links in the description. I hope to see you, and until next time, stay frosty and goodbye.